All right, if you're outside, fill up your coffee, grab another croissant. Don't try and cut it because that knife just doesn't do a good job, in my opinion. I just sort of rip it and throw some jam inside and we're good to go. All right, I'm going to welcome everyone. We're going to begin the day. So So a couple of announcements. First off, this day, wonderful day, and it's not the end. It really just represents another point in time where you're going to stand up and tell us how you're doing with your project. But it is important for the program, for the IDEAS program, and for everybody back at the ranch. So they've been invited using a webcast link. So everything starting now is being recorded. So we need your consent because the privacy commissioner called and said, these people need to consent. So in your package, you'll see a consent form. If you don't want to give consent, that's fine, but you'll just have to face the wall at the back. So just sign your consent and leave it on the table, and we'll gather it at break. So that's the first thing I want to say. The second thing is, again, the round tables are not conducive to excellent body posture. So please turn your chairs around, stand up. You know, if you got to stretch that back, Caroline, just roll out. But just look after your physical health today. You know, get up, grab some water, do whatever you have to do. Okay. We're going to start with a land acknowledgement, and it's something that we're seeing more and more of, and I think the young generation really gets it, and they're really committed to developing positive working relationships with everyone, but specifically our Indigenous population. So to recognize the youth movement in our country, I'm calling on Erin. Erin Cunningham is somebody's daughter, and is with us today, and she's going to come up to the podium and read the land acknowledgement.
We would like to start by acknowledging that the land at which we gather is traditional territory of the Wendat, Anishinaabe, Chippewa, Métis, and Mississauga of Credit First Nation people. Today, this meeting place is still home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful for the opportunity to work in this land.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Today's a great day, so I want to see a lot of energy. If I don't hear clapping, hooting, and hollering, Tom's going to get up and do something. All right, we're gonna kick off today. Our agenda is we're gonna have a welcome from the Ministry of Health and Lily Whitham in a second. We're going to then kind of go over a little bit of the mechanics for today's process, and then we'll do around 10:25 as we'll split up and the walls will come down and we'll secretly be encapsulated here. So obviously, we want to hear from everybody, but unfortunately there's so many great teams here today that we'd be here till 6 o'clock. So we thought we'd respect your time and we'd split the room in half. So we're going to do that, and then each room will have a facilitator to facilitate the presentations. We'll always come back together for the common sessions. So at lunch, the walls will go up if you want to start a food fight over there. And then we'll hear together our speakers this afternoon together. So let me welcome Lily Whitham. She's a manager in the Health System Quality and Funding Division with the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care, and she does not want you to ask her what Doug Ford's going to do with healthcare. Don't ask her that. Let's welcome her. Come on.
Thanks so much, everybody. Welcome and congratulations! This is so exciting. This is a huge milestone. It's amazing, honestly. 6 months, and what's amazing about today is that we have the opportunity to reflect on everything that has been achieved, and I hope you all really feel like it's been an achievement, because We at the ministry think it has. There's so much that's been accomplished on this bundled care side and through the Ideas program. It's just absolutely amazing. So thank you for inviting us here to share in the celebration. Anytime our team gets to meet with you guys, we just feel so grateful for the opportunity. So thank you. So for many of you, the last few months, and for us, have been filled with ups and downs. But as I said, our hope for today and for your Ideas of Graduation Day is that we can all pause and reflect on those amazing achievements and the real improvements that you're making in patient care. Many of you know I've been away from this work since July. I was seconded into Deputy Premier Elliott's office to support their transition, but it was an amazing opportunity. I'm delighted to say I'm coming back to bundle care on Tuesday. So I'll be back in the weeds, but the team has been keeping me up to date on everything that you've been doing, and it really is amazing. Our hope is that the Ideas program has given you many takeaways. But today, the most important takeaway is the recognition that you are leaders and innovators. You're at the front of the pack. While being change agents is hard, you've been recognized provincially as a group of people that is committed to improving patient care and willing to push through the real complexities of change management. Our system would never evolve without people like you. We've been testing bundled care for a few years in Ontario, but you were the first group to really take the big plunge with us and try moving the model to scale. Without you volunteering, we never could have known if this would work in a big way. Now, because of your effort, we will have the data we need to inform our way forward, and you've built the blueprint. This has really come at an important time for our health system. We have a new government, and they're open to change. They have really large and strong commitments in healthcare, and work like this is going to be essential to inform the way forward. I think we can all acknowledge there's been some challenging parts about having a voluntary model, but it has allowed us to learn so much. As you're all ramping up to a higher state of maturity, I'd like to reflect on some of those challenges and some of the critical success factors, and I'm sure you will all reflect on that today. Because we're voluntary, we know that there may be equity issues between patients that are receiving bundled care and those that are not. We know that building relationships with providers that are not necessarily involved in the bundled care movement has been really challenging. Some of them never even heard of it before. And then you have to negotiate prices, assign expanded accountability. Those are challenging things to do. And we also know that it's challenging to do in a broader environment where you're not sure where we're going next. But I think if anything we've learned and achieved over the last 6 months is that we can all be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And to succeed, you've kept the patient at the center. I think at the beginning of this initiative, we learned from the 6 pilot sites that having the patient at the center was essential. And it's so clear that all of you have been able to do that and keep that person, the care that we're trying to improve for each individual person in mind, and creating that common motivation and building your teams around that. It's been huge for success. We've also heard that the model has been able to provide greater flexibility and that you remain optimistic that you will be able to achieve the triple aim. See those improvements in patient experience, improvements in cost, and also improvements in quality. And so in closing, I just want to acknowledge that for all of us, it's a tricky time to be innovators, and we recognize that. We're all wondering where to next. But from my experience over the last few months, I know that the work of bundled care will be critical to inform the new government's approach to overseeing healthcare, especially with big commitments like ending hallway medicine. Bundled care will be an essential solution at moving major platform commitments like that forward. We have a phenomenal minister with deep knowledge of the system and is really interested and excited to see initiatives that are making a difference for people and for patients. Everything you've done and everything we've learned is going to be incredibly important to drive our way forward. I want to thank you for your commitment to exploring innovative funding models and looking at new ways of providing service and taking the learn as you go approach. It's not easy. And I mostly want to congratulate you because this is an amazing day. I hope that you've enjoyed it. I hope that Ideas has been a great experience. We've heard from so many of you that it's invaluable, and it's very clear to us that it is. So have a fantastic day, enjoy some knowledge sharing, and I hope you have fun. So thank you.
Lily's not taking questions right now because she's coming back.
Take questions later. We'll give you time to think about them.
Tough questions. All right, is the slides up? Great. So thank you, Lily. Thank you for those comments. I've got a few slides to show you today. So this is what bundled care looks like. Isn't it fantastic? Back on April 25th, you saw this slide in the morning. It represents the system of bundled funding for those people that need a new hip or a new knee or maybe both. And when we met with you, we talked on the phone, we said, don't try and boil the ocean. Pick something, either one of those boxes in blue or either a little thing within a box. And so I think the important thing that hopefully you've kind of appreciated is that bundled funding is a complex system and you can't do everything at once. So to be focused, pick something, define your sandbox. That doesn't mean everything else can't be done. It's just trying to steer your energy and efforts. I think we're missing a box on the end, that obviously the patient comes through the system with a referral from primary care, but we should have a box where the patient leaves healed or able to walk 50 meters or something. So I'll just say that to whoever drew this to keep that in mind. All right. I think another thing that was that I experienced with the teams I supported was that even though you weren't working in the white boxes, a lot of you felt that you had to go upstream to start influencing where people went and the decisions that they made. And so I think that's important, if you remember back to Deming's system of profound knowledge that we talked about appreciation of a system. And so I think there was that learning. All right, when you first came in, the welcome webinar, we showed this slide. We have basic expectations for all participants in the advanced learning program that you learn, do, share, and sustain. And the learning has been incredible. There was 6 official days where you came into a learning session. Today is also a day of learning as we hear from one another. The do part is very important because we want you to apply the theory to your projects in real time. And so today is another opportunity for us to hear what you're doing. And so that brings us to the share bucket. And the sharing really is fantastic. Throughout the 6 days, I'm always seeing people in the hallways talking with each other, passing out resumes. Hire me if you got openings. That's not the purpose of ideas. But the sharing of knowledge of what worked and what didn't work. And it was supported by the larger community of practice that took place on every 4th Wednesday of the month, and sometimes conflicted with our own virtual rounds, but we were able to coordinate that. So we're really excited today to share. And so what I encourage everybody is, when you're not presenting, when you're not worrying about whether you're going to remember what to say, listen to the stories that your colleagues are saying. Try and identify the themes that made everybody successful and the themes that frustrated you. Because today when Lily comes back, we're serious. We want a lessons learned because I think bundled funding is here to stay. So, there's other people out there that are going to have to face the improvement journey that you did. So let's cultivate those themes into questions or advice. And so that's what I want you to do. Now the last bucket on here, the sprocket, is sustain. So we touched on it a little bit. We said that if you're going to increase workload for staff and they don't perceive value, then you have no hope in hectares to hold the gains. We had the National Health Service Sustainability Planner that some of you might have filled out to identify what factors are critical to require sustainability. My biggest advice to everybody is don't sustain crap. If you've tried something and it didn't make something better, then go back to the learn bucket. Go back and identify, well, what was it that didn't help us? And you only sustain something that's made the system better. So that was my comment to you. All right, in the spirit of better, Health Quality Ontario is again launching Change Day, and the day is November 22nd. We're encouraging everybody who works in healthcare or receives healthcare to make a pledge to do something to make a little part of our health system better. And so we are the system, and sometimes we might be frustrated by all the politics in it, but let's try and identify something we can do. So there's a lot of marketing material on your tables. If there's the website, changedayontario.ca, has all the videos and explanation of what it is. And we definitely look to this, to our alumni, because after today you're going to become IDEA's alumni, and we're usually the leaders charging the way. All right, so what's the process for today? As I mentioned, we're going to divide the room in two. The cameras are on, but don't worry about the camera and all the millions of people out there watching you right now. Just focus on your story with your colleagues. So similar to Learning Session 2, you're going to come up to the podium as a team, even if only one of you is speaking, and you're just going to stand up here. All right, try not to fidget. You will be timed. So Danny, are you in this room? So this room, Claire, is called AB. Who? So this room is BC, that side is A. So if you got someone back at the shop saying, I can't find you, then maybe they have the wrong link. So hopefully they received the right link so if you're in that side, it's the A link. If you're on this side, it's called the BC link. There's nothing confusing about that. All right, so if you get an email, oh my God, I can't find you, just let one of us know and we'll flip you the both links and they can decide. So, 10 minutes. Danny is timing over here. Danny, where are you going to be sitting? Right there? Or are you going to come up to the front? Okay, and then Claire's going to be over there. She's going to be at the front. So 10 minutes, 5 minutes for question and answers. Now, we have some fantastic panelists here, and I'll let them, when the wall comes down, do their own official, full-fledged introduction. But we have Danielle Martin from HQO. We have MTS Daniel from the Ontario Hospital Association. We have Carissa Levy from the Rehab Care Alliance. And we have Carolyn Goss from St. Joseph Health System. Carolyn, are you going down there? Okay. So their job is not to quiz you on how many sigmas is a special cause. Their job is to be curious, to ask you a question about your experience. So if you don't understand the question, just say, I don't understand. They're not here to assess your knowledge of QI. They're just here to learn. Any questions about what we're doing and how we're doing it? All right, we are going to pause now for the walls to come down, and then we'll reconvene at 10:30. Thank you.